If you're in a relationship where you're doing more, giving more, or you feel like you're the one who's holding up the relationship and you're more engaged in the partnership than your partner, there is actually a clinical name and there is actual good research that is evidence-based research on what's happening. Because you feel like you're the only one who's keeping things from breaking apart or falling through, you keep doing more and more than your partner, and you can't really even fully explain it. You just keep giving, you keep showing up, and you keep making sure that things don't fall apart. But somewhere underneath all of that, there is a part of you that knows this dynamic cannot go on because, in some way, by holding up this dynamic, you keep disappearing. You keep losing your voice, and your partner, whether they know it or not, they're participating in dynamic with you that hurts. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to describe what this is clinically, where it comes from, and what you and your partner, if they want to engage in this work, what you two can do to change it. Let me start by saying this. This is not about blame. This is not about who's better, or who's lazy, or who gives more, who's more generous. This is about a pattern, a clinical studied research pattern that happens inside of relationships, and it is a tremendously painful pattern that, as a researcher of nearly 20 years now, I've watched time and time and again show up in my office where couples have this particular dynamic, and just by being able to name it, just by being able to realize we're stuck in a pattern that is studied and researched, then we can also change it. Now, if you're willing to learn what's underneath this and willing to get this idea that it might not be what you expect it is, and it might not be about what you think it is, and even the steps necessary to change this dynamic might not be comfortable. But if you're good with that, we can go into part two, what it actually feels like to be the one that's giving more and doing more. So what I see in my office over and over again, someone says, I feel like I do everything, Luis. I'm the one who's holding the relationship together. I schedule things for the kids, I schedule dates, I make outings happen. If things fall apart, I'm the one who proceeds to talk to my partner about it. I do more of the repair and more engaging in the conversations, and it feels like my partner isn't really fully here with me in the relationship, and I'm tired. I'm the emotional backbone of this relationship. I'm holding it together and I'm exhausted. I don't even know when I stopped being a person in this relationship. At some point, I just became the person that does everything while my partner idly sits by or is lazy or is just not as engaged in our life as I am, and I'm burned out. In family systems theory, particularly the work of Murray Bowen, one of the foundational figures in understanding how families stabilize under stress, how couples and people attach and connect safely, he named this over-functioning, under-functioning. This is a particular dynamic where one person does more, they over-function, while maybe the other partner underfunctions. So one partner becomes the stabilizer, the organizer, the emotional container, the person who keeps everything running. Oftentimes, without even being asked or without even realizing that they've taken on this role, they just become that person. And over time, the other partner becomes the underfunctioner. Really important to get this. Most of what's driving this dynamic is unconscious, that you and your partner have unconsciously agreed, I do more, you do less. I step in, I stabilize, you sit back. And that has you carrying all the weight. And this is where we need to look, not at who's doing more, but we need to look at what is the weight about and what is the unconscious driver of what makes this system operate this way. This is what we would do inside of a clinical research setting. We would look at why is this system or this couple or this family functioning this way, and what are the unconscious drivers. What most conversations about overgiving and overdoing and underfunctioning about this particular dynamic, most conversations approach this in the wrong way. They tackle it about being too much or giving too much and making somebody just throttle back and focus just on the actions or the behavior changing without understanding what is actually happening. In this dynamic of over-functioning, under-functioning, it's not about someone being too generous. In attachment-based clinical work, we understand over-functioning as what's called proximity-seeking strategies, which means giving more as a way to reduce anxiety or the fear of distance, conflict, or disconnection. So you give more, do more, attune more as a way to keep the connection alive, as a way to avoid the disconnection or the feelings that come with not being the one that keeps everything together. So this dynamic is not about generosity, it's about safety. We give more as a way to reduce the fear of distance, of conflict, disconnection, or even worse, abandonment. And quietly, without meaning to, you begin to communicate to your partner that you need less, that you want less, that you will not really speak up or advocate for yourself, and that things are okay. From a nervous system perspective, drawing from trauma research, overfunctioning is often a sympathetic stress response disguised as caregiving. So what that means, because that's very complicated and loaded. So let me make this more concrete. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for threat. In your attachment style, you're scanning and you're constantly aware of possible problems. You're hyper vigilant to what might not be working so well. And so your neuroception, your brain, the way it's receiving and taking in data, you are constantly scanning for your partner's bad mood, for your partner's withdrawal, for the relationship, the moments of disconnection or distance, and it all registers as danger, not consciously, not logically, but inside your body. And when you have those sensations of something is off, my partner's not in a good mood, or the relationship doesn't feel right, you overfunction, you fix, you soothe, you anticipate, you carry the weight of the relationship. And it's not because you're trying to control the relationship. It's not because you're trying to control the dynamics. It's because somewhere deep inside you, there's this belief, if I stop, something bad will happen. If I don't do more, things could fall apart. In clinical terms, we call this self-abandonment in the service of attachment. So let's sit with that phrase for a moment, self-abandonment. What is self-abandonment? Self-abandonment doesn't look dramatic on the outside. It tends to happen quietly on the inside, where you slowly stop noticing how you feel. You stop noticing your edges. You stop noticing the sensations, your desires, or your limitations. And so you might feel a little wired, a little frantic, or a little exhausted, but your attention is more shifted outwards so you don't notice what's going on inside you, because your attachment style tells you, be aware of everything that's out there and manage it. What does my partner need? What's going on for them? What do I need to keep everything okay? And so without realizing it, you begin to disappear from your own experience. Your voice and your needs and your wants and even your attention to that starts to disappear. So that is what self-abandonment in the service of relationship, in the service of attachment, you abandon yourself and you become secondary. And it feels very painful to be there. And at some point, resentment starts to creep in, anger starts to creep in, or maybe just a sense of overwhelm, exhaustion, shutdown, and then maybe sudden even anger surprises you. And then here's the painful irony. The more you erase yourself, the more that you lose yourself and abandon yourself in the service of connection, in the service of relationship, the less intimacy feels real for you. The less that you feel like you're actually there or wanted or heard or made important. And intimacy requires two present people, not just one person holding everything up or one person doing more. Intimacy really is a verb or teamwork. The question about overfunctioning typically doesn't go with what does this person actually really want. We usually just focus on what does this person need to do, and that's it. So most of the time, therapists, coaches, well-meaning friends or coworkers or people in your life will just tell you Stop letting your partner take advantage of you or do less, and that's it. Just focus on the behavior and stop being taken advantage of. But that advice misses the entire point. Over givers don't want to stop caring. They don't want to stop investing in the relationship. They just want to stop feeling like everything depends on them. They want to feel safe enough that they can relax in the relationship. They want what we call co-regulation. That felt sense that you're not alone in holding things together. That felt sense that your partner co-regulates feelings and desires and wants with you, is your cooperative teammate. They carry the emotional load, the repairs, the responsibility, and everything in your relationship, for the most part, is shared. Overgivers want to know, I don't have to manage your emotions. I don't have to manage everything for everything to be okay. I can rest and I can know that we are a team. And I don't have to keep endlessly giving to keep this relationship alive or safe. I can struggle, I can fall short, or I can need something and we'll still be okay. But instead, I tend to overfunction because I want that and I don't know how to ask for it, how to receive it, or how to let go enough. And this is not about control. This is not about dominance. This is about safety, reciprocity, and a real partnership where nervous systems are calm enough, or in a parasympathetic state, as we would call it, they're calm enough. Your body and your states together are calm enough for you to really hear each other, to really connect, and to really feel what it's like to be part of a team where you are co-regulating, where safety exists. But through the years and through everything that you've likely gone through, your nervous system has learned that that isn't how you get love. That isn't how you keep love alive. Instead, you need to overfunction. You need to do more. You need to give more. And if it doesn't fall on you, then there's this unconscious driver that drives it all that says, I belong by doing. I belong and matter by providing. I stay loved by performing. I have a performative sense of myself. If I perform, then I get love. And that belief is something we want to change. And changing doesn't just start with you changing your behavior. Giving less is not the answer. Changing overfunctioning does not start with giving less. It starts with tolerating the discomfort of not rescuing or not always being responsible. Researcher and therapist Harriet Lerner, whose work on relationship patterns has been foundational for relationship therapists and clinical work, puts it this way. If you don't move out of the way, your partner never has the relational floor or space to stand on, which in practice means you don't always have to smooth things over. You don't have to act immediately. You can pause. You can let your partner sit with their own feelings of discomfort. You can let the relationship sit with these uneasy feelings for a moment, and you can watch, wait, and see. And you can begin to name what you need instead of compensating for it. You can invite your partner in through inquiry or conversation, and you can allow imperfection to exist without rushing in to fix it. And I know that as an overgiver, this would feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're changing behaviors, and it's a sign that you're growing and testing out new edges and limits for yourself. You are in the process of changing a nervous system that once kept you safe by overfunctioning, by doing more, and underneath that overfunctioning and overgiving, there is this felt sense that if I don't hold everything together, then what? Then who's going to do it? And that feeling or that sensation is real, and it needs to be taken seriously, not pushed through, but listened to. So here is how we actually start that process. The first step is not trying to fix the relationship, and it's not even trying to fix you per se. It's actually about you slowing down enough and learning how to notice and feel your own body. See, what overfunctioning and overgiving people do, what they often do, is they override the signals of possibly these different sensations of a tight chest, a shallow breathing, a low fatigue or urgency or franticness. You learn how to ignore those sensations in the service of attachment, in the service of relationship. So the first thing is you learn how to stop, and you start feeling your body, and you start asking questions within yourself. You start building this new relationship, and you can start asking things like, am I giving from a place of genuine generosity right now? Or am I giving because I'm afraid of what happens if I don't? Am I afraid if I don't act, the relationship might fall apart or something good won't happen? These kinds of questions alone helps. And if you can be honest and quiet and repeat this regularly, you'll start to learn a lot about yourself, and you'll start learning a lot about how to change this dynamic by noticing yourself first so that you don't cross these invisible boundaries. You see, overgivers oftentimes, they can't feel their limits. They just override them, and then when they hit that limit really hard, that's when they notice it. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to start practicing, catching that moment before resentment happens, catching that moment before you give too much, catching that moment where your body gave you a signal of, I'm frantic, and you can notice now. And you can ask, do I want to do this? Do I feel like I have to? What if I give just a little less? What if I notice where this is for me? And now the third step is noticing where you used to give to avoid honesty. Overfunctioning often shows up as rescuing somebody from a hard conversation that actually needs to happen. Overfunctioning a lot of times is about doing something so that you can avoid some of the tension that might come up when you might say, this is my limitation. And so you keep rescuing. And learning how to be honest is really uncomfortable. Learning how to notice that edge and speak up instead of doing, well, that helps you become more honest and sincere and gives you an opportunity for real intimacy. And it gives an opportunity where your generosity now includes you. You are part of the relationship now. Over functioning isn't about you being a good or bad partner. It's about being overly responsible for something that was never meant to be carried by one person alone. Once you see the pattern clearly, and once this pattern has a name, it becomes workable. It becomes something that, like a good doctor or a good clinician, you've named, diagnosed, and now you can begin to treat it. Over-functioning, under-functioning. If you've recognized yourself in this video, and if you've watched this far, you're either a partner of somebody who says they overfunction or overgive, or you are that person. If you're that person, you're not broken. You've just adapted. You've learned that this is the way that life has to be in order for you to be connected, safe, loving, connected. It is the way that your nervous system has learned, and it worked for a while. At some point in your life, it's what got you through and kept you safe in your family, with your friends, and life somehow, it worked. But it's no longer sustainable because now you know the cost. The cost is other people sit back and idle and underfunction. The cost is you get exhausted, frustrated, resentful, or even angry, or feel like you're being taken advantage of. And real intimacy isn't found when someone holds up the whole relationship on their own. It's found with yourself being honest, tired sometimes, imperfect, not over functioning, sitting with some discomfort, welcoming your partner into these hard conversations, naming and noticing yourself inside of the relationship. And once you stop overgiving or over functioning, you and your partner can find a happy middle ground where you guys co-regulate, co-operate, and co-author the relationship. And that is actually what a good, healthy, regulated, secure partnership looks like.